Top of the morning, the afternoon, and the evening to you, whomever you may be, wherever you may be watching, looking, or listening. Welcome to the network and welcome to You Gonna Get These Sports, bruh. Hey, dog, tune in because I know you seen the thumbnail. Sherrone Moore, Cameron Cecil Newton. And of course, we talking Dak Prescott, your Dallas Cowboys. What is the fallout of this last loss? What does it actually mean for the team? But we're going to get into all of that and more, man. But you make sure you tell a friend to tune in to You Gonna Get These Sports, bro. So without another further ado, let's start with Cameron Cecil Newton, man. I have to. And let me give my preface on why I believe we got to start there. Because if I tell you a duck can pull a truck, you can fill out the rest in the comment section. But when we skip to the other side of this, if it walk like a duck, talk like a duck, quack like a duck, kinfolk, it's a duck. You feel me? And we got Miss Reese in the building, one of my faithful few. If you are one of the faithful few, a part of the Brain Trust, I love you from the bottom of my corazón. That is my beating heart in Spanish. Well, not my beating heart, but that's my heart in Spanish. You feel me? But yeah, man. So I want to start with Cameron Cecil Newton. I have attempted to do content on him before, and it actually didn't work out for whatever my streaming issues were for the night. But here is the reality, man. The question becomes, is there a level of disrespect when we come to looking at the Indianapolis Colts not drafting, but signing a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers to a contract to play when he's been sitting on the couch for 5 years? He's a high school coach at this point. He's raising his many, many kids. And he rolls off the couch, comes out there, and keyword almost, leads his team, the Indianapolis Colts, to a victory. Cam Newton made some comments and he felt the way. And the question is, were they being disrespectful to him or was it simply delusion? I do have a clip. Let's look at this clip and then y'all let me know what y'all think. And I'm going to remove myself so y'all can get the full experience.
Here we go, third down, fan question of the week. Let's see what we have.
Well, with this news, Phillip Rivers has unretired and signed with the Colts practice squad. So our very own producer, Brendan Cole, says, with the Colts bringing back 40-year-old Phillip Rivers for a workout, would you work out for Indy if they call?
Yeah.
You would go for a workout if a team call right now.
Yeah.
You still in shape though, Boog. I ain't gonna lie. I gotta call it. Your boy, you're still in shape.
Bro.
You're still working out.
But man,
that's great for 44 years old coming out of retirement.
It's almost like a slap in my face, bro.
It's like,
I ain't gonna lie.
But let me ask you this: just how you say it. I mean, granted, and you can take it how you want it. Just how you said, like women, when a guy's hitting them up. Do you even come off like you're available? Is that the same in football? Like, do players come off like, I'm still open to play? Like, because a lot of people can misconstrue, and only thing you can do is ask. But with your career and all the things that you're doing in media, do you come off like you're available? Well, state the case then, bro.
Did Phillip Rivers send any type of signs that he was available? Why you asking me to do something that everybody else didn't do? I ain't no sucker. I ain't no lab rat. Come on, bro.
How do the people want to know? So you still will work out. You still are available.
Bro. People be holding people to a standard that they ain't even holding everybody else to that standard. Bro.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like. Hey, well, you ain't showed that you... Have you followed my Snapchat?
And he's retired. You ain't even retired yet.
I did not. Yeah. And will not. Because of an opportunity like this.
And he also was in their system, but still, like...
I don't give a damn if he was in their family.
Yeah,
He's 44 years old, bro.
44. Bull dog. Got somebody.
You see what I'm saying? Understand what you're saying.
He got
How do people
grandkids.
hold Cam Newton to a standard that you're not holding everybody else?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, Cam, did you say that you were still available?
Yeah.
Cam, you're retired. Another that got a lot of sisters and brothers that came from his scrotum. He got a lot of kids like me.
Got a lot of
Yeah, I wanted to let that play. I wanted to let that burn because Cameron Cecil Newton, I listen, man, and here's why I want us as a community of sports lovers, of people who love to be entertained, who want to bring in information, whatever your reason is for why you watch what you watch. So much of this is cap. It's just cap from Cameron Cecil Newton. And we have to look at the numbers and be real about who he was as a player. What did you do on this return to Carolina where you believed that you were going to really change the trajectory of what was a bad team? Let's look at these numbers. Let's look at these numbers, right? So let me add myself back in here just a little bit. So then after that, you go 6-10. That's another losing season. 11-5. Awesome. Find a way to rebound. 7-9, another losing season. And then in 2019, you have a Liz Frank injury. So you play 2 games, you're out, you come back 7-9. So actually you're done with Carolina. Then from there you go to the Patriots, which for all intents and purposes we could say was some level of a disaster. It is what it is. We don't got to make a big deal about it, but it didn't go so well. And then in the last time we seen you on the field, you were 0-5. Didn't start the whole, that wasn't all his doing, but it wasn't a great showing. We got to stop. We got to understand what Cam Newton's overarching point is to what he does. And he said it 1,000 times. And I'm not mad, right? I'm not mad because I'm making a piece of this content today about Cameron Newton, right? But what I want to be made clear is that it's all in the name of one thing that he does well. And that is put out some form or level of entertaining content for the masses. Nothing wrong with it. But one could argue, even with the MVP, even with the Super Bowl appearance, that Cameron Cecil Newton, I'm sorry, I like to say the whole names here, the best thing that he did was be a content creator. And this isn't to talk down, because you're talking about a guy who won a Heisman. You're talking about a guy who won a national championship. You're talking about a guy who set and broke numerous rushing records. I think he was like threw for 400 yards a certain amount of times as a rookie or something, like in his first 4 games or something. So it's not that he was a bad quarterback, but to the ilk of a Phillip Rivers at 44 years old, what I want to understand is how it can actually be seen as a slap in the face because they didn't call you. What Cam Newton wants to make of the utmost importance for people is the same thing that was said after the stint where he was out and he was throwing the ball. He was out throwing at like pro days. It looked like pro days, and there's not 32 quarterbacks in the league better than me. Here's the reality. You could say aura all you want to, and that nobody wants to deal with the Shedeur Sanders type situation. Here's the reality of both of you guys as a quarterback, and Shedeur's a rookie, and he was a 5th-round draft pick. He wasn't the first draft pick. Head and shoulders as a quarterback. We're not talking about running the ball. As a quarterback, even though I get that running the ball is a part of playing offense in the NFL, no matter the position outside of linemen, typically, your job as a quarterback is to throw the ball down the field. At no point ever was Cam Newton gifted in the way that even a Phillip Rivers or a Shedeur Sanders is gifted as a quarterback. Overall, the packaging is great because I don't want a 6'4", 6'5" quarterback coming full steam at me at 235 that can run you over like a running back, but that can throw the ball like a quarterback, and that also has speed and agility. But we've always made it a point. We've always made it a point to point out that Cameron Newton is a great runner of the football. Nobody has never talked about how amazing he was at quarterback. Phillip Rivers, although never went to a Super Bowl, I seen the guy play in the AFC Championship, 2 torn ACLs with braces on or whatever it was. I've never seen anything like that. But a pure pocket passer of a quarterback. You can't take it as disrespect. Nobody wants to see Cam Newton on a football field again, and that's just what he has to be honest about. Oftentimes as athletes, I don't care what level that you're on, the people are going to dictate and tell you if you're good enough. No, it's not AI, bruh. Nasal ball or nasal belly, whatever. It's not AI. But anyway, I don't know why people say that. But anyway, this is the reality, though. Cam Newton, nobody wants to see you play football again. You are a far greater entertainer and content creator than a football player. And that's no disrespect, because I've never played football at that level ever. But we got to stop making it about something that it's not. It's not about if you're capable. Yes, you are younger, but you're not a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers is probably right now. We seen you in Carolina the last that last year. We seen you with the Patriots. And what we have to stop doing, and your body got destroyed to the point of Charles of, I think that's Faley, to the point of him. We seen you get destroyed over the years running the ball. Your best attribute was that you had great running ability you could make some throws here and there. So let's not get caught up in the content creation of it all to think that if we saw Cam Newton go out there with the Indianapolis Colts, that it would have went better. Because here's the reality too of what I was thinking about. And if you follow me on this, you would agree. The Colts already had Cam Newton. His name was Anthony Richardson. He's a quarterback that played at Florida that had a bunch of measurables. Now, does it look like he's going to ever win an MVP or go 15-1 or lead any team to a Super Bowl? No, I'm not saying that. So I'm not saying that they're truly comparable, but what we're watching right now from Phillip Rivers was still probably better than what we would have got from Cam Newton. And here's what we also got to, and I'll get to the comments in a second here. Y'all hold tight with me. But this is the other thing that that we got to realize about Cam Newton is that his pride is far greater than his desire to ever play football again. You know, we haven't heard from Phillip Rivers ever. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing that we haven't heard from Phillip Rivers or that we see Cameron Newton on a regular basis, because he's a content creator and a good one at that. But nobody's heard from Phillip Rivers. He just went and coached high school football and raised them 30 kids and went on about his business. But Cam Newton has too much pride to go and make it right with an organization that he clearly loves. Cam don't want to play the game. He thinks that the organization has to humble itself to come to him because they maybe never seen a success like they saw with him. Let's not forget that Carolina was an expansion franchise, right? Early on, I remember them beating the Cowboys and things of that nature. This is the what was his name? Something Green. He was a great pass rusher in the NFL. He was actually Kevin Green was a wrestler or something like that. But so what? To my point, like what Charles said, 2015 was a long time ago, my bro. And we can always talk about the Liz Frank, and we can talk about how the shoulder surgery and how it changed your throwing motion. But the reality is, it didn't cut it. Yeah, yes. So let me go back and look at these comments. Jeffrey Champion said Phillip Rivers also didn't have an injury to his rotator cuff like Cam Newton did that ended his career. Well, that's true, right? I was just bringing that up, right, about the shoulder thing. But here's the other thing. Let's stop acting like, yes, Cam had a strong arm. It just wasn't what we're trying to make it out to be. We just looked at his stats, and I'm not talking down on Cam Newton. All I'm saying is it's either disrespect for real or it's delusion, or maybe does it live somewhere in the middle. But come on, Cam. You never put together back-to-back winning seasons in the NFL. Phillip Rivers did, though. Multiple AFC championships. Throwing records. Like, I'm not saying that Phillip Rivers is great either. Early on in the game, he was 0 for 4 on 10-yard passes down the field, 10 or more yard passes down the field. So I'm not saying whatever. But clearly, Phillip Rivers is a guy that a team feels like they can trust. Yes, there is a certain circus that may come along with it. The Colts don't want more media attention. They want to win in the window that they have. They gave up 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, who's out with a calf injury. You lose your quarterback, who already had a broken fibula, tibula, whatever it was, and then tears his Achilles. The first person I'm thinking of is not Cam Newton. That's all I'm saying. And so we just got to get real about what we're seeing. I'm not saying that. Here's the other thing. Phillip Rivers has always been a guy who releases the ball weird. Like he got a sidearm motion. So it ain't about how pretty you can throw the ball either. Peyton Manning didn't throw the ball beautifully. He just had a great mind and he was just decisive in what he did. So I'm just saying, I get that. Sports ball is for fart boys. More like fart ball. You childish, bruh. Swedish Meat bulge. You childish, bruh. That's funny, though. I listen, all men are really just kids at heart, but that you childish for that. Cam got tore up at Carolina. Yeah, I mean, for sure. 2015 was a long time ago. Cam just want the money. Yeah. And I ain't mad at it, kinfolk. Y'all, hey, just so we clear, I do accept super chats, super stickers, Cash App. You just let me know how you want to bless my life. I agree with him. Ain't nothing wrong with wanting that money. You feel me? But Cam, how effective can you really be? That's the question. So you're truly willing to drop everything that you got going on, ESPN, 4th and 1, everything that you got going on, you're willing to drop to go try to play for a championship? Yes. Here's the reality, too, that nobody's going to talk about. And what's up, Connor? My fault. My Steelers are cooking. Here's the reality. They're playing against Tua Tagovailoa, and he's impaired himself. They're not a cold climate team, and they're not a good road team. We're not going to make a big deal about beating Miami, even though I do kind of hope they win. And then you said everyone would pick someone other than Cam Newton. That's a fact, though. And it's not. Here's the thing. Once again, it can't always be a black thing, a white thing, a aura thing. Sometimes you just ain't the guy, and that's okay. You don't have to retire. Ain't nobody probably finna knock on your door to help get him over the top. Maybe like a Pittsburgh or somebody, if he actually would fit really well in Pittsburgh. Running team, tough defense, hard-nosed defense, throw the ball when necessary. It wouldn't be any different than what we see from Aaron Rodgers, who's not that effective. I don't care if he throws 4 touchdowns a night. Aaron Rodgers is not a lock. We got to stop acting like this is vintage Aaron Rodgers, who was in like 4 NFC championships. It's not that guy anymore. He's not. And he's going to blame everybody when things go wrong. That's just the MO of what he does. So then you said Pastor loses longer. Look at all the what is that first word you were trying to say, Jeffrey? Lasts longer. Man, I ain't gonna lie. Lasts longer. Look at all the oldest quarterbacks in the NFL: Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Matthew Stafford. Are you saying white quarterbacks? I don't know. Pocket passers. Okay, I see what you're saying. Pocket passers last longer. That's a fact, though. That's a fact. But here's my thing. Kirk Cousins ain't really been that good. His playoff record isn't good. His primetime record surely isn't that good. So it's not even that. It's just like, can you consistently put us in a position to win? When you look at Kirk Cousins on some of those Washington Redskin teams, he constantly had them in a position to win where they really weren't that great of a team. But he would lead them to the playoffs. He didn't do diddly squat once they got there. But I'm just saying, let's not make it a racial thing all the time. And let's stop acting like because, yeah, you was more entertaining than the average quarterback, all the things that everything. When I listen to Cam Newton speak, and I got something for Joe Flacco too. Don't get me started on that. But when we listen to Cam Newton speak, what we hear him often talk about, he takes the approach of like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's not a big deal, whatever, until he's getting into it with somebody like a Gilly or somebody like that. And then now it's all these accolades that I did, and you ain't never did nothing with your life. And it's like, it's petty, but it's false bravado and ego to make himself feel better. And I'm just not a man who's a proponent of that. I don't think every time I walk into a room, I got to walk in crotch first. That doesn't have to be the reality because somebody is challenging my manhood. And it's like when I was, when I played basketball all the time growing up, and the guys want to start wolfing and barking, and it's like, I'm not going to allow you to get me out of character because you call me a few names. I'm more secure in myself than that as a man. Now, if you put your hands on me, that's different. But just this wolfing stuff, a lot of what we see from Cam is entertainment, but it's not truth sometimes. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool, bro. Congratulations. You won a Heisman. Let's move on. Your number got retired. Cool. Let's move on. Let's get to the type of man that you are. Now, I know this is sports. This is, you're going to get these sports, but I'm just saying, maybe we would get a little further along if we start actually caring about the quality of man that goes just beyond being a good father. Because being a good father that's what you should do. But then let's also start looking at the quality of man you are going to be. Are you raising young men who would be men that you would want them to replicate after you? Instead of talking about how marriage don't fit you and all these other things, that's something I've talked about before, but it is what it is. So let's see. And Matthew Stafford, and on some levels, has appeared to get better. I mean, I'm not saying that he has, because I seen that was one of the guys you talk about as a pocket passer. He said, and his health with smoking cigars. I don't think that's really an issue. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the cigars is something, you got to think with cigars, it's like you're not inhaling. So it's not like smoking an actual cigarette. I do get that there are more massive amounts of tobacco because it's a leaf, a big leaf and stuff like that. But I don't really believe that's as big an issue as a quarterback. There has to be a progression. It's the same thing as we, later on, we're going to be talking about, Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, right? It's a progression that I'm not so sure we ever really saw from Cam Newton. We saw ebbs and flows every year. And whether that was, you don't feel like the franchise did right by putting the right pieces around you, when you got your opportunity, you didn't capitalize. It's unfortunate. Most people don't get back. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, these are all anomalies, that reach multiple Super Bowls. The Cowboys of the 90s, the Joe Montanas, the Steve Youngs of the world. That doesn't happen all the time. So for you to be great like you believe, it has to be something that we see consistently over time, and that's just something that I don't believe that we've actually seen from him. Now, Joe Flacco, in my opinion, is not a good example. Joe Flacco is not a good quarterback. Joe Flacco was never really a good quarterback. What we saw was a guy that had a big arm. The 9-ball was the best route he threw. He was on a contract year, and they went on a run to the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco's numbers after that went very eerily similar back to being a pedestrian quarterback in the NFL. That's just what that is, and he's been like that ever since. We quickly saw, once Joe Burrow got back, how good that team could hum with him at quarterback. Now listen, you could put a guy who don't even know how to crank a Ferrari up and an Indy 500 driver in there, and they both could see some semblance of success in that car. But long term, the guy who been driving that thing, who he got it custom made, and he know the ins and outs, he done read the manual 5 times, he probably is going to know how to drive that car a little bit better. So Joe Flacco is not a good example. Joe Burrow, keep that man upright, put some linemen around him, put a defense around him, and watch him go get back to another Super Bowl. But I digress on that. Curtis Knight says fibula, tibula, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, he broke that stuff, dog. You said Jameis Winston Dookie too. I mean, what we crapping on here for? Joe, that's another first-round draft pick, though. That's another number 1 draft pick there. The reality, though, is here's what we got to start realizing about a lot of these quarterbacks in the NFL is that a lot of their success isn't just predicated on where they're drafted, right? Because there are cycles, right? NFL teams, franchises go through cycles of success and failure. Some stay in failure longer, some stay in success longer, right? That's how you can get a Tom Brady that won his division for 10 years in a row, right? That's a cycle of success. It won't last forever, but that's a cycle of success. When you get guys like Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, a lot of these I ain't gonna say just black quarterbacks, right? There were tons of quarterbacks that got drafted that didn't see success because those teams didn't properly build around them. So Jameis Winston, I don't believe was a bad quarterback, but I believe that he wasn't stewarded well. You look at a Russell Wilson. Was Russell Wilson ever really that great? He had something to him for sure. He had something to him, but he had Marshawn Lynch and the Legion of Boom. It would be hard not to plug anybody into that system and not see success. But that doesn't mean that everybody could have did what he did with those weapons. That's the same argument for Troy Aikman, for anybody who wants to say, well, Troy Aikman had the running back and he had Michael Irvin and he had Alvin Harper. And it's like Jay Novacek. It's like, bro, stop acting like that stuff. Like he had a lot of these guys they didn't win a Super Bowl every year. When he was hurt as a rookie, like who's to say if we would have actually lost to the Lions if they would have started him like they said they would, but they went with the guy that had the hot hand. So I'm just saying, like, not everybody can cook with the same groceries. Some people are chefs and some are just should be ordering Papa John's. So when we talk about the quarterback position, don't name all the black quarterbacks and say that they trash. As you get to a Dak Prescott. Now, let me add my quarterback up here. Yes, I'm going to say my quarterback because I am a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I also said, and I can eat my lunch just the same. I said that they were going to make the playoffs. Now, is there a chance? I think it is a slim to none chance at this point. But Dak Prescott, Rain Dakota Prescott, has did everything that he can to keep us in position. Here's the reality. Terrence Steele, Frank Thomas, or whatever his name is, garbage. Dumpster fire garbage. And when you have those people who are responsible for protecting I can't get my words out, who are responsible for protecting the blind side, you're forcing the pressure into the pocket against your quarterback 24/7, there's not much that we can actually do with that. Dak or anybody. You know why Patrick Mahomes was so effective or why that team was still staying afloat? Because Patrick Mahomes was their run game. One of the best situational runners in the NFL at any position is Patrick Mahomes. Do you think he wants to run as much as he does? No. Or as he did because he just went out with the ACL yesterday. No, he doesn't want to run that much. But the reality is you find ways to adapt. Dak Prescott doesn't have the ability to run like he once did when he was younger. And he wasn't just that great of a runner early on in his career. Let's not forget the ankle situation. He's been hurt a few times in his career. Tore his hamstring off the bone. Like, he probably shouldn't be running. But Dak Prescott has did the best that he could to cook with the groceries that he has. We'll come back. We'll come back to the Cowboys. Let's see what the comments saying. Jameis Winston has God on his side. Just wait. Hey, man, I ain't arguing with you. Cool. Yeah, you have God on your side. But you also have to have skill on your side as well. Let's not forget, Jameis Winston threw 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's atrocious. And it's hard to rebound from being that bad. Some talent has to be bridled a certain way. So if you can't get to a guy that's talented like Jameis Winston was talented, let's not forget he also won a college championship. You have to learn how to put a govern on those type of players and give them structure. The NFL, guys don't last as long. These are the most talented people in the entire world. They usually don't succeed because they don't have the right guidance. They don't have somebody to get in and show them how to be a professional. So Jameis Winston was a victim of that more than anything else. RG3, the same type of issue. Let's for 2.5 seconds, let's not forget what RG3 was to the NFL and the Washington Redskins, where the coach, Shanahan, did not want him. Drafted Kirk Cousins in the same draft. That is just stupid. And then you ran him into the ground. I'm not saying he was a great passer of the ball everywhere. He was a great deep ball passer. Apparently, he couldn't throw an intermediate pass to save his life. But he led that team to the playoffs. So, once again, you have to be centered around people who believe in you, a franchise that's going to get behind you. The owner loved him, talking about RG3. The owner loved him, the coach didn't. So now I can go above the coach to go talk to the owner to get what I want or to be in a position that I want to be in. That's dysfunction. And even quality quarterbacks, a Cam Newton, a Matthew Stafford, or anybody needs the discipline and structure of an organization to further their success. Dominique said, God bless my brother for sure. I don't know what I said, but Bradley said facts. Appreciate you, man. Cam Newton busy with yogurt commercials. I'm not mad at whatever he got going. However he make his bread, the brother got 12 kids, or 8 or something like that. Do what you got to do. Make your money. I ain't mad at you for how you make your bread. All I'm saying is don't try to sell us a dream about how it's a slap in the face for you. It's really delusional. It's not disrespect. You're delusional, bruh. The problem with most athletes is they don't know when their time has passed. Has Phillip Rivers' time passed? Sure. But is he the reason they lost that game? I can't do it to him. They kicked the field goal when I think it was like maybe less than a minute left, and the Seahawks go right down the field to kick a field goal. That shouldn't happen in today's NFL. So I have to give that loss to the coaching staff and the defense. Phillip Rivers, being on the couch for 5 years, did just enough to win that game. Anybody expecting him to move mountains, expecting Cam Newton to do anything different, is just egregious. I would pick my uncle over Cam Newton. He dropped dimes. Who is your uncle? It better be a real person. I'm gonna be talking about your real uncle that probably ain't never played football, because that's where y'all be getting a little disrespectful. We ain't doing no disrespect now. We ain't tolerating it. Cam talking how good Bryce was before the game. Laugh out loud. No, for sure. And here's the thing. Bryce is inconsistent as well, but that franchise is in a far worse state than what Cam had to deal with. And I ain't talking about as a rookie, because they did have some seasoned vets and things of that nature, for sure, when Cam Newton first came into the league. But they weren't a great franchise. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it, because they were bad, right? So, but I'm just saying, like, even that, like, Bryce was a top pick too. Like, you gotta, like, we have to give people time to develop. That's all I'm saying. And I got what you were saying. Pocket passers. I got you. He said, who's Pastor Lassie's? You funny, bruh. All right, cool, Connor. He wilding. No, nah, it's racist, bruh. Who's racist? Who's racist? Hello, bruh. What are you? Oh, let me see. Luca said, what are you talking about? Hello, bro. What are you talking about today? We talking about Cam Newton. Is he delusional or being disrespected by the NFL, by the Colts, by not being brought in for a workout? The last time we seen Phillip Rivers was 1,800 days ago or something like that. The last time we seen Cameron Cecil Newton play football, 2021 season. It was a well-to-do. He got put on on an airplane. They flew him to Carolina. It was like a chopper or something. I'm back. All of that. And he did decently, but it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing too great, bruh. We are gonna talk the Dallas Cowboys. What are their chances to actually make the playoffs? What needs to happen? And we also gonna talk Sherrone Moore. What is the fallout of him with Michigan in that whole situation? So, man, y'all stick around so we can continue to, chop it up. And make sure y'all hit the like button. It's free. It don't cost you nothing, and it'll bless my little heart. If y'all do want to do super chats, we all for it in here. I ain't mad at you if you want to bless the game, as well as man, make sure you subscribe. And then he said, y'all goofy with basketball too. And then he said, y'all racist AF in basketball. Who, bruh? And I don't want to assume that you just putting a blanket statement on YTs. You feel me? But teams rather have Jameis Winston start than Cam Newton. Yeah. Because as goofy as Jameis is, I'm gonna be honest with you. So here's the question, right? Better quarterback all time. Like, I'm talking about natural quarterback. I ain't talking about if you won the MVP, if you had the better team. Who's a better quarterback, period? Cam Newton or Jameis Winston? That's the question. Put that below. If you made it this far on the replay, thank you. I appreciate you. Jameis Winston or Cameron Newton, who's the better quarterback if their careers end today? I'm not talking about records. I'm not talking about awards. As a quarterback, who's better? Aaron Rodgers is smoking cigars right now, and he's playing football right now. I agree. That's why I don't think it's a good metrics. It just wasn't a good metrics. The deep ball Russell Wilson throws defaults on the money. The deep ball Russell Wilson throws defaults on the money. What does that mean? Drops on the money? The deep ball Russell Wilson throws drops on the money because he was also always a good deep ball passer. Absolutely. Then Ms. Reese said, I was so hopeful for the boys. Yeah, I think I can't wait to get there because once again, Jerry and the Cowboys sold us hope, but the writing was always on the wall. And we'll kind of get into what that was. I came back to see it to see an image of a terrible QB. I feel disrespected. I come back to see an image of a terrible QB. I feel disrespected. I miss Prime Zeke. Prime Zeke. Prime Zeke was special. This is what so let me tell you one of my most fondest memories of Prime Zeke Elliott. Ezekiel, as Jerry Jones calls him. We're playing against Pittsburgh. I think we're in Pittsburgh. And we were down or something like that. This was like his rookie year or his second year in the league or something. And this dude catches a screen out of the backfield, bro. And we were deep in our own territory. And he takes that screen like 80 yards, bro, 75 yards, bro. People forget that Zeke wasn't just some battering ram. Yes, he could run through you, but Zeke was shifty, bro, and could take a screen to the house in a minute, bro. And I just hate the fact that the Cowboys, they'll run any quarterback into the ground, bro. Yeah, that's the disappointing thing about, what we experience at running back. You know what I'm saying? I also miss Ezekiel Elliott. He was, we get it, bro. Ohio State guy. Dang, bro, you all right. Jeffrey said also Jameis Winston never had a decent running game until he was on the Saints, and then the turnovers went down. And here's what people don't hardly ever talk about, right? In some way, form, or shape, or fashion, whether you talk about I'm sorry, basically, because I'm gonna go blank trying to name quarterbacks. You can't name a quarterback that didn't have a solid running game that didn't help him equal success in the NFL. Nobody, even if you look at Phillip Rivers in his prime, you had LaDainian Tomlinson. Son. Have you listen, LaDainian T, dog. You had LT, dog. LaDainian Tomlinson. TCU kid. You feel me? There was no way I expected him to be that good coming out of college, but man, he tore it up. But I'm just saying, every great quarterback had a really solid running back to go with him. So you can't equip these guys halfway and expect them to equal success in the NFL. And Bentley Ray said, hi, what's going on? How you doing? Make sure you hit that like. Someone took my money at school. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Now, don't do nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? Don't crash out. Cam Newton. Yeah, Cam Newton. We talking about Cam for sure. Jameis Winston. Oh, you saying so you're saying you would take Cam Newton over Jameis Winston. So that's one vote for Cam Newton. Jameis Winston, he's a better passer. On some Phillip Rivers type beat. I feel like there's something that's supposed to be disrespectful to me, but I don't know. What's my favorite college? So I'm a Texas boy, but the first team that I actually loved in college football was Notre Dame. So fighting Irish, baby. You feel me? But it's 1A, 1B for me. And it just depends on the day. 1A, Notre Dame, 1B, Texas Longhorns. That's just what it is. In college, it's the same way in basketball. I'm a Texas boy, but the first team I loved was the Kentucky Wildcats. So it's Kentucky Wildcats 1A. It's your Texas Longhorns 1B. It's just what it is, bro. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. And then he said Doug Martin was nice. That's what's up. And he said Zeke, Cowboy hater, Hunter, Dallas Cowboy for life. Zeke, who the F is thinking Zeke right now? So to that point, though, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But once again, if we're talking about like windows of opportunity that we missed as Cowboys, we cannot forget about having a rookie Zeke that's meeting Cam Chancellor in the hole, pause, that's like, yo, bring that smoke. And he went in the battle. He's delivering the blow to one of the most fierce safeties in the league. The thing that I hate the most about all of this, it's not even anything based off of Romo. Well, it is based off of Romo, but I'm saying it's not, it's never anything before that season or after it, right? It's the fact that we never went back to Romo that year. When Romo got healthy, that team was always built for Romo to win. Because to the fact of what somebody brought up earlier, when you're talking about having a prime quarterback who can win in the NFL, and who's to say that Jameis Winston was ever a prime quarterback in the NFL? I'm not saying that, but that's who we were talking about. Romo was never given the opportunity to get the keys to that Ferrari. Having a young Zeke at your disposal as a smart quarterback, because at that time, you're talking about Romo being a quarterback who had evolved into being a true leader of a team. Now, for whatever the reason, they did not want to fool with him no more. The team was not arguing except for Jason Witten. Jason Witten was the only person that wanted Tony Romo back under center. So I don't know how much of a team guy Romo really was, but I wonder what the team would have actually looked like with Tony Romo in that game playing against the Green Bay Packers versus a rookie Dak Prescott. That's all I'm saying, bro. All right, so let's see. So he said ASU, Arizona State. Nah, I never said that, bro. I mean, I get it. You an Arizona person. You Arizona guy. That's what's up. Nah, ain't no Arizona State over here, dog. Hey, y'all did my boy wrong. Y'all know y'all did wrong, bro. Y'all got my boy fired from over there. Cam had 3 wide receivers that led the league in drops: Ginn, Funches, and Benjamin. I don't care. I don't care. Win with what you have. Win with what you have, man. I don't care. I'm sorry. Win with what you have, dog. Javonte has 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, and this guy brings up Zeke. Let's stop acting like these numbers are amazing compared to what Zeke did back in the day. The point was, he's saying he missed Prime Zeke because Prime Zeke is blowing these numbers out the water, bro. I'm with you. I don't think we should have ever signed Zeke to that big contract extension in the first place, and it handicapped us in how we could move within the salary cap, you know what I'm saying, and better in the team. But Zeke had technically earned that contract off his first 3 or 4 years in the league, so you had to pay him. But it's like, maybe that's why you don't draft running back so high, because if you're gonna use them high volume like that, they're not as good on the back end of their career. These guys aren't. The league is different. He said, Tony, hey, bruh. I was what they used to call us folk. I was a Romo-sexual, dog. I was a Romo guy. I was all in on Romo. Romo was the only hope that we had since Troy Aikman, bruh. And I'm not saying that they're comparable. We ain't finna do that, bruh. I'm not gonna say that they comparable. I'm just saying I missed seeing that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause he brought excitement to the game. He said, "Oh, Mr. Let me throw this INT to end the game." You must be talking about Tony Romo. Hey, some people can argue that that's what Dak's career has been. In any big moment, pressure moment against a quality opponent, because I could argue that beating the Philadelphia Eagles and then 4 days later beating the Kansas City Chiefs, you didn't beat quality opponents. I could argue that. I don't know how you feel about that. Y'all tell me how you feel about that below, but one could argue that Tony Romo, that those weren't quality opponents. As we seen, the Chiefs were already on their way to losing that game before Patrick Mahomes got hurt. Not the same team. Can't say he's not the same quarterback because he was amazing against us. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he's Houdini out there. But did he somehow wear himself down by doing all of that running like he's did over the last couple of years? That's up, that's up to be debated. He said Dak as a rookie was better than Romo ever was. See, that's poor hindsight. Told French. That's poor hindsight, bruh. Because here's the thing, you could say that, but once again, I forgot who the other quarterback, who was the other receiver on the other side of Dez Bryant that year. But you got Dez Bryant, you got Jason Witten, you got Zeke Elliott. The defense wasn't spectacular by no means. I'm sorry. The Cowboys haven't had a good defense, a legit good defense, since the 90s. I'm sorry. We could talk about 13-3 seasons and all of that, and when we got to the playoffs, the defense got ran roughshod on every single time. So it's kind of hard because Dak received an embarrassment of riches. We didn't see who Tony Romo actually could have been as a quarterback at that time. Prime Zeke was just 2 years, homie. So I could agree with you with that. And you know why I can agree with you on that? Because the numbers actually show that after that first year or second year, his numbers actually declined every year after that. That's a fact. If you go look up Zeke's numbers, they declined every year after, like, he won the Russian title or something like that. In the first or second year, the numbers declined every single year. They got worse. But I'm like, are you a Cowboy fan? Like, I don't be understanding sometimes. It's like this one guy, he comes on and his tag is like Dak sucks, Cowboy fan forever or something. I'm like, why are you hating on your present quarterback that bad, bro? I don't be understanding that. Like, we be having the weirdest fan base. Miles Austin was tearing it up for a few years. Let's keep it a buck. He had hamstring issues, but Miles Austin was like a yak king. Yards after the catch was his thing, bro. So Lil Tony won with Dez, DeMarco, and Witten. Like Tony won with Dez, DeMarco, and Witten. DeMarco Murray was another one. A baller. You run him into the ground and then you let him go to Philly. And I'm not saying he did anything over there, but I'm just saying, I didn't want to see any more counter draws with that. That whole in the shotgun and hand it off to DeMarco. I was so tired of seeing that play, bro. I'm like, bro, y'all better come up with something else. And then he said Miles Austin. He said, and us finding Dak saved this franchise from going back to the Chad Hutchinson, Vinny Testaverde era when Romo went down. So here's the thing, right? What did Dak really, and I'm not being funny when I ask this. This is a real question. What did Dak really save us from? We the only franchise that don't want to tank. We're the only franchise who doesn't want to put ourselves in position to get true prime players. Micah Parsons falls to us. He's got character issues and stuff like that. Awesome. But then he was also a tweener who couldn't really play linebacker in the NFL, and that's why they truly left him at pass rusher. He couldn't play linebacker in the NFL. He was not a sideline guy. I don't care how fast he runs a 40. We didn't know what to do with him. Put him up front, see if he can't rush the passer. And then he didn't have enough girth in him, or whatever you want to call it, to actually stand up against the run. He was never going to win against the better tackles in the league. He was too small. You get a CD Lamb, who I was praying that we got, and we actually got him. I have no arguments about that. But we've had luck in getting those type of players, those transcendent type players, because they fell to us, not because we were actually in position to do something for once. It would be great to actually be at number 4. Now, mind you, I'm not saying I want my franchise to be mediocre, but what I am saying is, if we're actually going to not be good, here's my thing, right? And tell me if y'all can jive with this thought process. And we are talking Cowboys now. We done talking Cam Newton. It is what it is. You want to go talk about Cam, just go ahead and watch it from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? But I started off talking about Cam Newton. But here's the thing, right? And we will be talking Sherrone Moore to end the episode. I'm not a guy who thinks that it's some great consolation prize to go to the playoffs every year. Now, mind you, I get it. You want to get in the dance, right? Man, you want to score, you got to go. You want to score, you got to talk to the girl, dog. You know what I'm saying? I get all of that. But, bro, if you would have told me that I could have vision to see into the future, in that with Dak Prescott, we will win 2 playoff games out of 6 or 7. We wouldn't make the playoffs multiple times. Who wants that, bro? Bro, I would much rather have had Joe Burrow or Shedeur Sanders. Dak Prescott saved us from what? It still sucks at the end of the year. We watching somebody else go to the NFC Championship. We watching somebody else go to the Super Bowl. We watching somebody else get a number 1 pick that could change their franchise. We watching some other GM go get McQueen or bro, we could have got Quentin Williams sooner. So I'm just, for me, cool, bruh. It's like, oh, Mike McCarthy went 12-3 3 years in a row. Oh, cool. What we do in the playoffs? The same thing. Lost to San Francisco, lost to Green Bay by 40. Who cares? I don't care. So what? Yes, and I get it. And I see your comment down there. Joe Burrow, after having this forethought, I don't get the joke. I don't get it. But I mean, it's probably a good joke. Can you tell me what it means? But no, but no, yeah, I don't. Man, listen, bro. I'll be honest. I'm not saying that this is a league full of great quarterbacks, because it's not. But give me a winner. And just having more wins than losses at the end of a season doesn't mean that the quarterback is a winner for real. I need somebody that, pardon my language, they nuts get big when the pressure come on. That's gonna make the right throw. You can say whatever you want to say about that quarterback over there. I don't care if you say he a bus driver, whatever. That quarterback over there for the 49ers, he didn't win you the game, but he didn't lose you the game. You know what? Give me a 6-7. Give me a 6-7 that's gonna not make my defense have to do something spectacular. Or every time, bro, Dak's MO as a quarterback in the playoffs, specifically and against playoff teams, is he'll do something dumb early. He'll throw a pick or two, or it'll be a pick six, or he'll fumble. And then we'll spend the rest of the half trying to not get blown out. Then in the second half, we'll maybe try to put something together. It get late in the game. Dak starts finding his groove, because now it's just balls to the wall, because now we got to just try to score to keep up, or we're down by 14, 17, 21 points. And then Dak will either come tie the game up, or they'll score late. The other team will score late to ice the game. Like, this is the MO of who Dak is being. So I'm not in love with the idea, even though I'm not mad at Dak being my quarterback. I'm not in love with the idea of he saved us from something. No. Do I want Vinny Testaverde as my quarterback? No. Do I want Chad Hutchinson? No. But do I want Dak for real? Even if, like, there's always an excuse. So when the defense did enough against the first time, the offense and defense looked like crap against San Francisco. The second time, the defense actually did fine. You had CeeDee Lamb, like 10 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. But then you got Dak missing wide open people to actually go ahead or whatever. And I get that's a part of the game, right? Quarterbacks are going to miss guys. That happens every play. But you can't put the game on the defense. The defense actually, because I remember, because you had Deebo Samuels and you had Christian McCaffrey, who weren't doing anything in the game. But then when it mattered late in that game, Christian McCaffrey ran the ball down your throat to end the game. I say, don't put your defense in that position. Actually, put some points up. Let's talk about your Cowboys, because I do have what the schedule kind of looks like for the other teams in the NFC. And if the Cowboys, tell me, do you think the Cowboys, if they actually have a chance? Tell me if you believe they actually have a chance still to make it in the playoffs. I want to talk about this season. I want to talk about Brian Schottenheimer, first-year coach. The offense was looking amazing. Now, not so much. And what is the reason for that? He says your argument was based on you having forethought of Dak just winning 2 playoff games. So that's some forethought would have seen busted up at Burrow. Well, but here's another thing for that forethought that you're talking about, right? Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. What does that feel like? Put your age below and tell me how old you are. How long have you been a Cowboys fan? See, people can say what they want. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback, but he's one of the best in situational footballs I've seen. The same with Patrick Mahomes, who's a far superior quarterback than any of these guys we're talking about. But when the stakes get high, they find ways to get it done where Dak Prescott hasn't. Yes, Joe Burrow's been hurt a lot. And I don't believe that his franchises did much to help him out to stay upright. But he's been to the big dance. And when the Cowboys were actually favored to win playoff games with Dak Prescott as the leader of that team that was supposed to be superior in talent and everything, he's wet the bed. And I've grown to be a fan of Dak this year. I did not like him. I just call him Rain. Hey, that's Rain Prescott. Like, I don't got respect for you, bro. But Dak ain't got it done either, bro. That's all I'm saying. So, Black Man Drop Top said, nope. He said, I'm 47, saw 3 Super Bowls. Awesome. That was 90 years ago, though. I was in the 5th grade when they won their last Super Bowl, bro. I'm 38. That's what I'm saying, though. Don't you want to see a Super Bowl now before your eyes get bad? And I ain't saying your eyes gonna get bad, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, bro, I want us to win now, bro. Go buy me a Super Bowl, Jerry. I want to do what the Rams did. Load me up. I don't care. I'll pay the luxury tax. It ain't my money. Pay them all. How you doing, Adrian? Man, once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like. Man, subscribe if you're rocking with your boy, man. If you've been staying with us past longer than 2-3 minutes, I greatly appreciate you, man. We talk a lot of things over here. Sports happens to be one of them. Man, tune in with the Mind of a Man Network. I appreciate y'all. We keeping it going. I ain't shutting the show down or nothing, man, but I do want to reset the room. But man, make sure that y'all like. It's free. And make sure you share this with somebody if you want to. That's just to kind of help us. If you hit the like, it helps to get people in here who want to talk about what we talking about. We talked about Cam Newton earlier. We're talking about your Dallas Cowboys now. And we will be ending the show by talking about Sherrone Moore and the things that happened with him in the University of Michigan. So Black Man Drop Top said, Jerry gotta go bye-bye before ya. He said, you win any Super Bowls? Who? So that is the argument, right? Is that Jerry has to no longer be with us for us to have opportunity to win. But what I think has to happen is, and people don't agree with this, and I don't understand why, Jerry has to go back to the mindset when he had to win at all costs. I don't care if you were the person who was the reason for the Herschel Walker trade. I don't care if you're the reason why we got all the draft picks and they turned into all of these great players. I don't care if you're the reason that Deion Sanders came and actually played for this team. I don't care if you're the reason for any of it. This is what I know. Success leaves clues. And if you did it before, you should be able to do it again. You're the reason for the salary cap. And lo and behold, this is what Jerry thought. Jerry thought that because we were a winning franchise and he paid to get Charles Haley here and he paid to get Deion Sanders here and he did all of these great things, right? He thought that it doesn't matter if I have a salary cap or not. I'm going to always get the best players because that's the reputation that I built. Here's the reality. It don't work like that, Jerry. The Cowboys ain't the only team that people want to play for. And then once you move and do things the way that you want to, now the salary cap is in place. You don't go to another Super Bowl, and it's been 30 years. You haven't been to an NFC championship in 30 years. And now the franchise is the laughing stock of the NFL. Who cares about how popular the Dallas Cowboys are if we can't get to the playoffs and win So whatever you think about Joe Burrow, think about this. The Cincinnati Bengals have been to a Super Bowl in the last 30 years. The Philadelphia Eagles have been multiple times. The San Francisco 49ers, multiple times. Green Bay Packers have been to a Super Bowl. Pittsburgh, been to and won a Super Bowl. Arizona Cardinals, within the last 30 years, been to a Super Bowl. How much more of this do I need to say before we start? Like, come on. What made Jerry great is he had an insatiable desire to succeed because his name was on the line. His family's name was on the line. Now it's any publicity is good publicity. No, it's not, stupid. Congratulations. You got enough Jim Beam and Papa John's to last you a lifetime. But we're not a winning organization. Let's talk about your current Cowboys. Let's talk about your current Cowboys team. You trade for Quinnen Williams, which was a beautiful thing to do. We get DeMarvion Overshown back. It helps. But boy, do we have lofty ideas of what he was going to do. The guy is fresh off of a knee injury for the second consecutive year, and we thought he was the savior of this linebacking core. You trade for Logan Wilson, who couldn't get on the field consistently for whatever the reason. Trevon Diggs hurts himself at his house, gets a concussion. And the details around it, some people know what actually happened, but won't talk about it. It sounds like some of the most goofy stuff we've ever heard about. Believed to be healthy and won't get on the field. They will not let this man play football because the relationship is severed. Deron Bland was paid $90 million a year after we traded Michael Parsons. I'm talking about a day or two after. Marvin Harrison has a highlight reel now because of Bland. He's just added to Jahmyr Gibbs' highlight. The guy is getting mixed up every week. Trevon Ravel, the rookie from Eastern Carolina, same thing, off a knee injury. Played decent in pockets, but man, is he getting roasted now. Kalen Carson, same thing. Osa Digizua fell right back down to earth. Jadeveon Clowney must be on the field for us to successfully have a good pass rush and run game as well. Run stopping defense. This defense is terrible. And as soon as Quinnen Williams got hurt, they start running right up the middle. Scored their last touchdown, running right up the gut. Desperation is our best friend. Because we don't know if Jerry got 4 months or 4 years. That point doesn't matter. Jerry needs to be desperate to win. So putting draft picks together, having a few draft picks, solid draft picks, get some of those kids from Ohio State. For the love of everything holy, draft safety. Do not go this whole draft and don't draft safety. You're kidding yourself if you think Wilson and Hooker deserve to be starting NFL safeties in 2025 and beyond. These guys struggle to make tackles in the hole. In their box safeties. They're not cover safeties. There's a lot of issues that this team has. And your defense is a prime candidate for why you're 6-7-1. Brian Schottenheimer. Well, first of all, let me finish with the defense. Matt Eberflus do me a favor, take your whistle off, take that playbook, go put it in the incinerator, because we don't want any of your schemes. Turn around and walk out of the facilities, because you're not good at this, bro. There are 3 teams that have gave up 30 points or more in their last 7 games. Cincinnati Bengals, Las Vegas Raiders, Dallas Cowboys. And we've gave up 40 like 3 times, maybe more. I don't want to hear it. It's like against the Lions, right? Against a quality opponent, a defense that has everybody's hurt at this time of the year. So I don't want to hear no excuses. But you got a defense that's not perfect. They really only had Aiden Hutchinson as the real dog on that defensive line. I think the corner, the defensive end on the other side had like 3 sacks. His name was Muhammad or something. How? And then on the offensive side of the ball, they had 3 compromised linemen. I think they had 3 starters out up the middle of the defense. We let the statue Jared Goff pick us apart. Not to mention, Amon-Ra St. Brown was fresh off an ankle injury. Their offense is built on timing routes. We didn't chuck them at the line. We're 10 yards off the receivers. You got J-Mo, you got Gibbs, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is a monster in between the line. All I'm saying is, let's get real about what we're actually seeing from this Cowboys team. That's not a good football team. I don't care how you feel. The Dallas Cowboys are not a good football team. So let's look at this. Don't have a shot in Hades of making the playoffs at this point. And I'm disappointed because here's the thing. Here we go again with do you care how you get in the playoffs? Do you limp in? I think it should matter. Because if we go beat up on bad opponents and get into the playoffs, that doesn't show that we're battle tested for ready for success. So at this point, whatever. Whatever, dog. Brian Schotten, here's what I don't understand. This is what I want to talk about concerning the Cowboys and the offense, and then we can move on, talk about Sherrone Moore and get out of here. But here's what I don't understand. Early in the season, this offense was absolutely electric. Absolutely phenomenal a buzzsaw, putting up 40 points, not trick plays, but just innovative offense, all of that. But every time we run into a quality opponent, we get the brakes beat off of us. Period. Which would lead me to believe that the Packers were trying to figure something out. Maybe it was just an off week or whatever. Dak played out of his mind. But Carolina, Detroit, that first game against the Eagles, I mean, I don't know, man. Against the Lions, we were not aggressive at all. Brian Schottenheimer has been one of the most aggressive play callers in the NFL. Except this time, we trot Brandon Aubrey out on the field to kick 7 field goals. That's not going to cut it against an offense like the Detroit Lions. And we still lost by, 44-31 or something like that? Same with against the we lost to the Minnesota Vikings, people. We lost to the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy, bad at quarterback. That kid is not good. He gets the gritty into the end zone. That's not a good quarterback. One of my supervisors at work is a Minnesota Vikings fan, and he's like, y'all made our quarterback look good. Yeah, newsflash. Yeah, surprise. We made a bad quarterback look good. It's pathetic. So anyway, I move on. Doesn't. But what I will say is you missed out on a lot of money and an opportunity to do something that had never been done before for a piece of peach. Now you've sat in a jail cell. The buyout. So let's say he would have just did a bad job as a head coach, and they would have said, okay, we're just gonna buy you out. We're gonna go on about our business. $13 to possibly $14 million is what his buyout would have been. He was making $6.11 million per year as a part of his salary. Now, money isn't everything. It doesn't buy your happiness, but it sure can get a good time at you. I'm just wondering, was it worth it? And that's not a funny blurb, right? Was it really worth it to go through everything that you go through, the public embarrassment, the humiliation as a man? Now we have to know that your wife is a Caucasian lady and you were cheating on her with a Caucasian lady. All of these things that don't even matter in the grand scheme of things. The color, the culture of your wife or whatever it may be, but it's like you were the first black coach at Michigan. So as a head coach, he was 18-8. He became the acting head coach in 2023, won four games, two of which were over Penn State and Ohio State. Talk about finding a way to get it done. Those are your rivals. In 2024, as a full season, you go 8-5. You win the ReliaQuest Bowl versus Alabama. Okay, cool. ReliaQuest is a crazy name. And then in 2025, you go 9-3. This was we not doing that. We not doing that, Connor. We not doing that, bruh. This was let's just get a little real here for a second. This is an incredible bag fumble, not just in money. Because you lost your great job. You lost the influence that you had as a man with your family. I don't think we start to realize how important your name is as a man. I'm gonna get to the comments in just a second, but Sherrone, I'm not here, bro, to look down upon you, because this is something that has plagued man from the beginning of time. I guess I'm in this situation. I'm just wondering, was it really worth it to not just lose $13 to $14 million of a buyout if things just didn't go well for you? But I don't know. Do you lose your marriage over this? You do some jail time. Do you ever get to coach again? What is the rehabilitation for you? You just listen. We got a saying in my circle: just keep living. And it's a double entendre of sorts, because just keep getting up. But then there's an aspect of it where, as a man or woman, you will get your opportunity to show me how it's done. My platform has never been gigantic or the level of a Cam Newton or anybody like that. And you never know what you would do or who you could turn into if given or afforded the ability to walk in those people's shoes. So in that situation, where do you go from here? And the better question is, what manner of man do you want to be? What legacy do you want to leave? Because it seems really dark right now when you've made that decision to compromise yourself. Behind every great leader that failed was a lack of accountability. Too much reliance on who you perceived yourself to be. So none of us are better than Sherrone. You just hope that you put the infrastructure around yourself to actually maneuver and weather those storms. Connor said Sherrone Moore is a bum. Okay. Sometimes you got to look at stuff through the lenses of the man, not the fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sherrone has a very large uphill battle. I mean, do you go D2 from here? Do you go FBS? What do you do? This is a real question. Oftentimes, in most cultures, we eat our young. That's church culture, that's black culture, whatever. You'll find a way to dispose of them. Here's the thing. Do you ever get that type of platform ever again? Who trusts Sherrone Moore to go into that locker room and teach young men how to be men? Is what he did in his short time enough to justify who he actually is or who he could be? Does he go hope to find a middle school team, a high school team to coach? Because once that platform is snatched, you may never get it again. Because far beyond your ability to coach is what is your integrity as a man? And we've all failed. We've all made bad choices and decisions with our lives. I'm not here to beat on this man for making a bad choice. But this should be a lesson to us all. What do you do when the fame comes? When now your voice is the loudest in the room? When you speak and the eyes are on you, when the attention comes, can we get inside of the mind of Sherrone Moore for a second? No, he's no victim. And you have to be held accountable for the choices and decisions that you make. Lord forbid if I walk out of here and make a bad decision in my car, if I go stop and get a 12 pack and chug it before I pull out of the parking lot, I have to be held accountable for the decisions that I made. But who's there to pick you up when you didn't fail in that situation? Because it's easy for us to stand on the outside and look in and tell that man he's garbage or he's a bum or you cheat on your wife. It's like, yeah, bro, okay, cool. Like, I'm not saying anything he did was right. Not at all. And I desire to use examples like this to express upon myself how much I desire to be a better man, husband, father, etc. But be careful of platforms that you've never sat on, shoes that you've never walked in. Because some things have befallen all of man. And the ways of a man and a woman are something that will continue to plague us. Let me get to some of these comments. I ain't ever getting married. Women my age are all gold diggers. There are no good women in my generation. Kind of, you got so much growing up to do, my brother. It's just simply not true. It's just not true. Now, it's hard. It's hard. Now, he who finds the woman find a good thing and obtain a favor from the Lord. You got to find her, bruh. They ain't just going to fall out the sky on you now. So, I'm just saying. You got to be careful with statements like that, though. You got to speak the reality that you hope to bring in. You can't speak it into existence. That's not true. I think the Hebrew word is bara, I believe is what it is. It means to speak something from nothing. God is the only person to ever do that in all of Scripture. We can't speak something from nothing, but you got to be careful with your words, though. You can speak your reality to a certain extent. Then you said cough, cough. Michigan was caught cheating when they beat Ohio State. In what way, bruh? Y'all got to stop, bro. Y'all got to stop, bro. Y'all lost to Indiana, bro. What's your excuse for that? Never forget the sign stealing scandal. All right. Okay, bro. There are reports that his wife filed for divorce. So, man, let me tell you something. As a man, and this is for any man who watching, any woman who has been on the other end of this situation, I'm sure you can relate to this. Bro, there's nothing more difficult than not seeing your kids every day. It is. When you see your kids every day, I don't care what capacity you seen them in. I don't care if it's a high and a by, if you just tucking them in their bed at night. When you can't see your kids every day, bro, it really do hit different. It make you think twice about the choices that you made, if it's something that you can do differently. So if his wife did in fact file for divorce, man, I say Godspeed to him. I pray that he actually does seek a quality relationship with the Lord, and that he seeks ways to rebound and make the latter portion of his life better than anything that it was leading up to this. Because there needs to be a total reboot of what his character is. As a Buckeye fan, I am obligated to dislike Sherrone for sure. But, you just got to be careful with some of the terminology. That's all I'm saying. Sherrone was a cheater. Never forget sign stealing scandal. How many times are you going to say that, bro? I get it. He stole signs. All right. Calm down, bro. Sheesh. I'll tell you what, though. I can give you my playbook. You still got to stop me. It's cool if you understand the term. Now, mind you, it does give you a level of advantage. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you still have to execute. The court meeting gonna be a field day for the wife. Hopefully not, man. Hopefully this stuff can be done in private. A lot of this stuff you don't have to, man. When you got money, bro, a lot of this stuff don't gotta be brought to the light like talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully you don't do that, bro. Because man, when you talk about relationships too, this is another thing. When you talk about relationships, who knows what they home life actually look like? Now, we don't got to get into all of that. We don't got to know all the details, but I'm just saying, you got to be careful, bruh. You know what I'm saying? It's victims, you know what I'm saying? But as men, we're always going to be held to a certain standard. Remember that, Connor. I don't care how great you think he is, no matter how much money you make, whatever. You are always going to be held to a higher standard than your wife ever is, or your girlfriend ever is, or your mom ever is. Whoever that person is, you're going to be held to a high standard because you're a male, period. And then you said the big 3S. What is that? What does that stand for? Y'all got to start giving me some context on these comments now. I'm just saying. That boy said Red Dead Redemption 2 has taught me some valuable lessons, bro. You got to get that game a rest. That boy kind of come on. Yep, just got done with a little Red Dead Redemption 2. Anyway, listen, man. We going on 2 hours, bro. We've been kicking. Do I have any other comments, man? Anybody else want to? Oh, sign stealing scandal. You funny. Do I have any other comments, man? Make sure that y'all hit the like. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tapping in with the Modern Man Network, man. If you're a part of my faithful few, the Brain Trust, I love you from the bottom of my corazon. I do appreciate y'all for tapping in and tuning in, man, for sticking for any amount of time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Man, I don't have nothing else, man, and I don't want to belabor the point. If we don't have nobody else that has anything to add, you don't have any questions, I thank y'all for watching. You're going to get these sports, bro, from the Mind of a Man Network. As I end every episode, life is hard enough. So please, don't just live elevated. Until next time, I love you. May the Lord keep you. I will see you on the next show. Until next time, Selah. You have a great night. Peace. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Y'all dope for that. Make sure y'all like and share. Subscribe.